Hello everyone and welcome back to the Coding Amateur. In our previous video, we hosted Directus inside of a Docker container on our Ubuntu VPS. Using nginx as our web server, we added a subdomain and we secured it with a Let's Encrypt SSL certificate. In this video, we will be looking at the basics of the Directus Data Studio. However, we have one problem with our VPS configuration. I will show you what the problem is and we will look at a possible solution. After logging into the Directus Data Studio, let's navigate to the file library. Any file that you upload to the Directus Data Studio will be stored within the file library. The files are not limited to images only, but you can upload any file type to the Data Studio. Now, I initially said that we had a problem, but in reality, we have two challenges or two problems with our present configuration. Let's look at the first one. Let's try to add an image to our file library. You will notice that we got a request field with status code 413. 413 tells us that the file we try to upload is too large. This is an error generated by nginx telling us that the file size of our file has exceeded the limit within the web server. So what we will have to do is increase the file size limit on the web server and it will take care of this problem. So let's go to our VPS and increase the file size limit on our web server, which is nginx. So we will dismiss and let's go to our VPS. On our VPS, we will need to modify our nginx.conf file. So let's do sudo nano, which is our file editor. Oh, not nono, but nano. And wow. Right, finally got the spelling right. And let's go to our nginx.conf file. Okay, so we are in the nginx.conf file. If we look through the file, we do not see any command or any line that is going to set the file size limit on the nginx server. So we will have to add that line. The line we are looking for should be client max body size, and then it should have the actual size in megabits or megabytes, but we don't see anything labeled anywhere. So we'll have to actually create that line. So anywhere, this looks like a good spot here. Let's enter client underscore max underscore body underscore size. A space, let's 100 M, right? 100 megs, and a semicolon. Control O, enter, Control X. Let's check to see if our nginx.conf has any errors. So sudo nginx-t. All right, the syntax is fine. Let's test now. Let's restart. We have to restart nginx. So sudo systemctl restart nginx. Okay. So now that we have successfully increased the limit on the web server, we should not get that error anymore. Okay, so we fixed our first error. As you will notice, we do not get back that 413 error. Instead, we are getting another error, which means that we have another challenge with our configuration on the VPS. So let's investigate this error and see what it means. Looking closer at the error message, we realize that the service is unavailable. What that means is that the action we are attempting to perform is not possible. If we read out the details given, it says the service files is unavailable. What service is that? What we are attempting to do is to save a file or upload a file to the Directus upload directory. That's the service that is not available. So it then tells us couldn't save file, and it gives us the name of the file. So firstly, let's check in the Directus directory we created on our VPS and see if there is an upload folder that we can place uploaded files into. So let's jump to our VPS. I have my VPS open. I'm going to change directory, cd, to my Directus directory. Okay, so now I'm in. I would like to show the contents of that directory. To do that, I'm going to use the ls command. Okay, so if you notice, if you look closely, you'll see in my directory, there's an uploads directory, which is an uploads folder. So the folder is present, but we cannot upload any files to it. It means that the service is unavailable. Why would that be? The first thing we can do is list all the files with a little more details. In doing that, it may give us a clue. So let's try again the ls command, but with a -la flag. So we will type in ls-la. Now what the -la does, it allows us to list the files but with more details. So the -l flag says to give a long list of details, and the -a flag would show any hidden files. So let's issue that command. Okay, now we see something very interesting. Looking at the details, we realize that our uploads folder, it is owned by the root user. But if you look at our command prompt here, I am no longer using the root user. Remember, we disabled that. It means that our sudo user doesn't have access to the uploads folder, and thus it is a permission problem. So in order for us to access the uploads folder, we need to change the owner of the folder from being the root user to our sudo user. Before we can modify the permissions on the uploads folder, we need to identify the ID of our Directus Docker container, because we're going to need to use that ID in the following command. So to get our ID, we're going to enter sudo docker ps. That should prompt you for your password. I have already put in mine, so it takes me directly to the list of Docker containers and their IDs. The top line shows my Directus container, and it shows the ID to the extreme left. I'm going to copy that, and I'm going to save it to use in the following command. You should copy yours and save it as well. This is the command we are going to use to modify our permissions folder. Okay, so you would see that we have a section within this command labeled Directus Container ID. I'm going to delete that, and I'm going to put in my container ID. You should also delete that and put in your container ID. This command will be found in the description below, so you can copy it and paste it on your command line. Okay, so now that I have put in the container ID, I'm going to hit enter. Alright, so it's telling me that permission is denied because I did not use sudo. So up arrow to put back in the command, and I'm just going to put sudo at the front. Alright, and that should be it. Okay, alright, and it went through successfully. So let's again use the ls-la command and see if anything has changed. Okay, now if you look higher on my screen, you would notice that for the uploads folder, you would notice that we have root and root, user and owner, right? Now, if you look at the uploads folder, you will notice that it has changed to the sudo user. All right? So it means that the sudo user now has access to the uploads folder. So we now have permission to upload files to the upload directory. So let's check that in our Directus Studio and see if it works. So let's dismiss. Let's go to add a file, and let's see. Yes, let's upload this file. And there you have it. It works. So we solved the second problem that we had, which was the service unavailable error. So we have completed our objective for this video. There were two problems that we needed to solve. One, the files that we were trying to upload to the folder, it was giving us an error suggesting that the file was too large. That was a problem within the nginx web server. We had to increase the size of the files allowed. And the second problem was that our Directus Studio wasn't allowing us to upload files because we did not have the correct permissions to upload files to the upload directory, which we also solved. So, having solved those two problems, our Directus instance is now fully functional. What we can do, or what we will do in the next video, we will look at our data model and we look at creating collections. So see you in the next video.